Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Making It. My name is Kenan Cooley and I'm with
Alvin Chia. We're so glad to be with you from the bi-coastal West Coast and the East Coast. And we got a very special show for you today.
Yes, we do. And it's not only just special to us, it's special to you. And why is that, Alvin?
Very special. We're featuring my sister. My sister is the world-class celebrity chef, and we're going to talk to her about how she is making it. It's really amazing. We never get to do this, but I was on her show and now she's gonna be on our show. And this is an opportunity that I've been looking forward to. So without further ado.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
And thanks for your patience. We know you have these incredibly long days. And so she's been sitting there trying to stay awake as we're getting our stuff together. So thank you so much for being here and being willing.
My pleasure.
To me, it's exciting, and I find it very incredible that there's so much talent in the Chia family. Alvin and I had talked off camera about his son doing things with Disney, and you're doing amazing things as a chef for celebrities. And of course, we know Alvin from Take 6 with 10 Grammys. I'm like, can y'all adopt me? Because
we didn't sleep much in our house. Got to get a job. We're all West Indians. Tree job.
Yes.
Yeah. So my first question, even though it's not really about Cynthia, is really about you guys, because there must have been some family training that went on in the space that happened that got you guys both in that high level of thinking.
Yeah, I mean, we came from an immigrant home with parents who left everything they knew and everyone they knew, and they took a gamble on themselves, and they came to this country that promises that anybody can make it, and they made it. You know, we have our father is a native of Liberia, West Africa. He had about 7 siblings, and he and only one of his other brothers came here, and everybody else still is there. And my father went from a little boy in the village who didn't wear shoes until he was 11 years old to earning a master's degree and raising us. And we grew up in a home where we never had to worry about the lights being cut off or a car not working or anything like that. So we grew up with parents that exemplified no excuses, and you can do it. So that was the foundation of which we were raised.
That sounds amazing.
You know, and I often think that no matter what it is we happen to have decided to do, we were equipped to be successful. Didn't say we were going to be successful, but there would be no excuses that you had the confidence, the education, and the self-determination to get where it is you wanted to be. Right. So it's just great to see Cynthia excelling in her craft.
And I will say this, that Alvin tapped into his genius very early on. I'm a late bloomer with it, but I actually embraced the late bloomer label, and I'm still blooming. And I think that I am a testament that no matter where in life you figure out what your thing is, once you figure it out, like, go hard in the paint, go hard in the paint, and you will still have that level of success and reward.
Well, Cynthia, won't you tell us what you do? That would be helpful.
So I am a trained and certified plant-based chef. As I said, I'm a late bloomer, so I got into it about 10 years ago. I got into plant-based cooking because I wanted to cook in such a way that contributed to people's health and longevity as opposed to their demise. And a lot of chefs you see out there, they're just, they're going for decadence. They're going for, like, bacon wrapped fat, all kinds of stuff. And coming from a home that my mother was a pretty healthy eater, but at the end of her life, she still suffered with the repercussions from not really doing what she should have done all the time. And so I decided that I wanted to cook in such a way that it was delicious, but it just so happened to be good for you. So that's why I went to plant-based cooking. And I have been fortunate since then to have cooked for some of the biggest names in Hollywood, in industry. And it's just been a blessing. it's been a blessing.
You know, I've always wondered, Cynthia, for our, like what you mentioned, our family was all about education, education, education. And
Mhm.
Cynthia herself has a master's degree and, you know, studied this and sub-Saharan women and all just very, very gifted. But you decided to do something that was non-traditional.
Mhm.
Um, Whereas somebody who doesn't really know you would say, are you using your education?
Mm.
So my question for you is, you had to make that that switch, that paradigm shift where you had to say, I'm going my way. I'm catching the vision for myself. Was that intentional, or did you have to get to the point where you're like, this is me doing me?
I think it was both. And we come from a long line of incredible cooks, and a skill set like being a great cook is something that people don't give much credo to it, like that,
Hmm.
you're a great cook, but okay, so you're a great cook, and you save that for your family. And I just realized one day that it is something that I absolutely love to do.
Mm.
And I realized there was a lot of money that could be made doing something that I was passionate about.
Mm.
And why not? I had over the years, I've had great opportunities and great positions. I worked at Time Warner Corporate in New York City, and I worked at the Museum for African Art in New York City. And I had these great opportunities, ran nonprofit organizations, and I could talk myself into any job,
Hmm.
but the passion wasn't there. So soon thereafter, you know, I basically sold the people a bad bill of goods because
Mm.
I
Mm.
wasn't passionate about it. I'm the kind of person, I have to be 100% signed up, passionate for it, or it's simply not going to work. And
Mm.
Yeah.
one of the first things that I found that gave me that satisfaction, like when
Love it.
somebody eats my food and they enjoy it, that's it. And it may seem like a simple thing, but it really fulfills me. And
Mm.
I look at it as when you cook for somebody, what you're creating is becoming one with their body. It's
It's
Mm.
true.
deeper,
Yeah.
which is again why I wanted to make sure that what I was cooking contributed to one's health and not their demise.
Even though that's a great thought process to what, helping people, have a better health, what made you
Mhm.
decide to go for celebrities versus just, I guess, general people, general population?
I didn't actually choose that. I didn't. I moved back to LA after culinary school, and I got an externship at this great raw vegan restaurant in downtown LA that at the time was a big deal. And I started working with somebody who was doing meal delivery, and
Oh.
she was working with all these athletes and stuff, and she was so not impressed with them, and she was like, oh, this Laker called and he needs such and such, and I just can't do it. I've got too much going on. So she kept on saying that, and um something happened that we ended up not working together anymore. And she said, somebody reached out to me and they're looking for somebody to do some cooking, some woman named blah 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 in Malibu. And I was like, okay. She's like, yeah, I'll just send it to you. So she sent it to me. And I pulled up to this house and I was like, whoever this is somebody, you know?
Yeah.
And she was having some issues with her health. So she wanted a macrobiotic cook. And that's one of the things I was
Mm.
trained in macrobiotic, Ayurveda, raw vegan. So I opened the door and she kind of looked familiar, but I couldn't really place it. And I didn't want to be obvious. I was trying to figure out who she was. So I went inside and I cooked, and she's like, oh, I want you to come back and give me lessons. And I found out that her husband is one of the few Black billionaires in the United States of America,
Wow.
Robert Smith.
Oh,
And
okay.
so that's how I started cooking for her. And then a girlfriend of mine, her boyfriend did yoga with Russell Simmons, and he tasted my food that I'd cooked for her one day, and he was like, you need to cook for Russell. So then I cooked for Russell. And then that same person knew Denzel's wife. So next thing I knew, Pauletta Washington is calling me. And
Wow.
all I can say is it was God.
Yeah.
It was God. There's no way that I could have manipulated that situation. And even with who I'm working with now, I just got a phone call one day and they thought that I was still in LA and they had another opportunity for me. And they're like, oh, such and such is in Savannah shooting a film. Are you interested? And I was like, I live in Atlanta. That's like 4 hours away. How could I even make that happen? And the agent was like, I think you might want to do this. So I did it, and now it's my third time working with this celebrity, and it's all God.
You didn't get a chance. It sounds like you jumped so far out of familiar waters that you didn't have mentors. There was nobody doing what it is that you were doing.
I absolutely have mentors. They may not be in my field, but I
Mhm.
have mentors. My number one mentor is my brother, Alvin Benny Chia. And I say, because, and I'm not being gratuitous, but let me tell you, there was a time when I would wonder, how am I going to get in front of this person? And I would see people getting these opportunities, and I was like, how do I basically manipulate to get in front and call this person or hang out at that place? And I realized as I looked at my brother's life, and I looked at the guys in the group, but I looked at my brother's life, that the pursuit of excellence will put you where you need to be. So I looked at people in different careers, and I saw that Shalea Frazier, I've known Shalea since she was about 8 years old. Every time Shalea gets up and sings, whether it's at Carnegie Hall, whether it's for Stevie Wonder, whether it's at Breath of Life Church, Shalea leaves it all on the stage.
I have a saying that I say is success is where preparation meets opportunity. You never know when you're going to get that opportunity. So prepare, and it'll go boom. Yeah, and that's so to everybody else, it looks like overnight success, like you just got here, but you've been strong for a long time.
Well, and you know what is interesting too is I think with some of us, God has to put us in a position where we have no choice but to do it, just go hard.
It's true. That's very true.
My opportunities were such that it was like, let me tell you, the first time I worked for Mr. Smith, I had no idea what I was getting into. None. My first day, I left there shell-shocked.
Wow.
I was gobsmacked with the amount of work that I was expected to do. But I realized you don't have a choice.
Right.
This is a once in a lifetime opportunity. You better put on your big girl panties and figure this out, because you don't know. You can't make an assumption that this opportunity will ever pass your way again.
Right.
Yeah.
And I did it. When he came to Atlanta, I got a phone call again. When he was coming to New Orleans, I got a phone call again.
Good.
So it just, and I think I'm the kind of person that had to be put in that type of situation where it's like, do or die, sis, figure it out.
But that goes back to our parents, though. Like you said, they got on a boat or they got on a plane. I think they both got on boats. And they came to America and they had to do it. There was no choice. There's no, mama, I need $20.
No.
Cousin, come get me. You got to do it.
You had to figure it out.
But you know what, though, Alvin, I'm going to disagree just a little bit, because I think it's mindset too. Because people do have choices. There are a lot of people who have had the choices you guys have, come across, and they didn't take the opportunity. They thought maybe it was bigger than what they can handle, and they didn't see how they could get through it, and so they gave up. Yeah. So I think, even though you guys have things have been put before you, don't take for granted that your mind is there, that your mind is saying, okay, you know what, this is bigger than what I understand, and your faith is saying, I'm gonna do it, and God's gonna take care of it.
True.
Right.
Because I think that matters.
We had a mother that had these one-liners. that would say things. And,
One-liners.
she had these things that she would say, and our mother's the anniversary of her death was just this past Saturday, 22 years. And I was telling Alvin that I heard her. My mother used to say, you have to be your own best friend. She used to always say that, like, don't expect anybody to do anything for you. She would say, I have to be able to depend
on you.
She had this cadence. And I
Yeah.
don't know if it's rhythmic cadence. She would do that in
You're
Texas.
right.
She would stay with us.
It's
But
true.
things that my mother in particular said to us that at the time, okay, but it like it's there. It's
Yeah.
there. And it created this wherewithal. So I completely understand what you were saying, but I think that, in addition to our parents' example, it was those words. It was, my mom could say something 100 times over.
And she would.
She programmed that. Yeah.
And I think that builds up in your mind, and then you have that expectation of that's how your life is going to go. Like you don't even expect anything less. I think that's how it ends up. Yeah.
And for me, being a late bloomer again, there's a story, or there's a I've heard about eagles, that when eagles, there's something in their eye, there's like some kind of mechanism in their eye that when they're on course, they don't feel anything. But the minute they start to go off course, there is a pain that they feel.
Wow.
Right? It's what puts them back in direction. And I think for the longest time in my life, I just wasn't settled. I couldn't settle into anything because I wasn't going where I was supposed to go. I would do this over here. But the minute that I focused in on cooking and the culinary world, it's like water.
Yeah.
Things come to me so easily.
Yeah.
That it's my gift. It's my gift, and I am walking in it. And so there's no more of that pain.
There's something you said earlier about being in your purpose versus everyone else's vision for you. And there was a period of that time for me. I went to law school for about 2.5 years. And certain things happened and kind of got me off course. But I remember there was this intersection in law school where I said, okay, Alvin, you're okay. There's probably, you're in the top 40% in your class, and, but you're not killing it. You're not killing it. And it's okay. But as far as what you do on planet Earth, singing bass and doing voiceovers and doing you're like the #1 guy on terra firma. Do that. Right. And I had to be honest with myself. And I said, you know what? I don't really have the passion for law that I really thought I did. You know what I loved about it? I loved being able to say I'm in law school. Because I love the expression that people got on their face when I would just let float that out there. Ooh, ah. And that long is how long the thrill lasted. When they were gone and I had to go back to briefing cases and doing all of this stuff, the passion wasn't there. But doing what I love to do, I could do it for hours and hours. You got to tell me to go to bed.
Absolutely. And something else I've learned about myself too is that I am a much happier person.
Doing what you're supposed to do.
I'm a much happier person. My attitude has improved tremendously because I'm where I'm supposed to be. I was unhappy because it was like, and I was fortunate that I discovered and embraced my passion at the same time that I met the gentleman that I would marry, because he got the best of me. So I wasn't good enough all the time.
Right.
But, it really has affected my attitude. I mean, there are incredibly long days.
Yeah.
When I first got here, I worked for like 30 days straight, 16 plus hours.
Wow.
But I was able to get up the next morning.
Yeah.
Because I love what I did. And if I didn't love what I did, I would have been out of here a long time ago.
when you're a solo flyer, you're basically like I'm in a group and we have to have a common vision to get where we're trying to go. But do you set 5-year goals, 10-year goals? Do you chart that kind of stuff out, or you kind of take the experiences and go? Do you have a game plan?
I do have a game plan. As you know, because you're one of the investors in the business, I've launched a spice line. And looking at some other things, I have a dream, and I know it's going to happen, to have my own cooking show. I've already got the name of it. Alvin has been a guest on one of the episodes. It's called Uprooted: A Plant-Based Journey Through the African Diaspora and the World of Food.
Wow.
Africa and the African diaspora are my passion. I am a proud first-generation American of African descent. I was in Ghana for about 4 months a few years ago. We were planning on moving there. So that is one of my big, hairy goals, is to have my own show, to really expand my spice line. I'm meeting with co-packers now to figure out how to scale it out. But I think that, to more directly answer your question, I take every experience for what I'm going to learn from it. Every experience is unique. Every experience it's kind of like, and again, I quote my brother so much. Alvin would always say to me, take the meeting. You don't know what the person across the table has to offer, right? And
Sure.
so I applied that to some of my gigs, my cooking gigs. It may be cooking for a family, that just a regular everyday family. There is something that I'm going to learn from that opportunity.
Sure.
Sure.
I got a phone call a couple months back. I had no idea who this person was. It was training camp in Tampa, Florida. I was told that this family was looking for somebody to cook, and they seemed like they were going to be a little difficult. And I was like, let me go. So I go there, and this guy is under the sink tinkering at this thing. And his wife comes out and she's like, yeah, blah, blah, my husband plays for the Yankees. And I was like, okay, where's the kitchen? I go to the kitchen, I cook. And during the break, I called my husband and I said, it's going pretty well. I really like them. He said, who is it? I said, some guy named Garrett Cole. He said, Garrett Cole? And I was like, no, who's Garrett Cole? He's like, he's the highest rated, baseball pitcher in the major league. He plays for the Yankees and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, well, he really liked my soup,
He loved the soup.
And that opportunity, once I heard that, I was going to bring my A game anyway. But then I was really like, okay, Cynthia, this is another level.
Right.
This is another. Next thing I knew, Aaron Judge was coming for dinner, and he was inviting all the single guys over for dinner because they were at training camp and they're eating out every night. So I had a table full of Yankees that I was cooking for
Wow.
like 3 times a week.
Wow.
So, every opportunity gives me the opportunity to pursue excellence. And I actually said, Garrett, thank you for giving me an opportunity to pursue excellence, because I knew this was a once in a lifetime opportunity again.
That's awesome.
Do you
That
get a
is awesome.
chance to choose the recipes or the different menus, or do they ask you to cook certain things?
I create menus and recipes based on their allergies or the desires, etc. And I present them and they choose what they want. And I love it because somebody like him, he and his wife, they're total foodies. And I was able to cook a lot of real traditional, like West Indian and West African foods.
Oh,
and
nice.
they love them.
Goals and purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Someone brought this to my attention the other day. I said, Alvin, what's your goal? Do you have a goal? Because goals and purpose are different. Goals you reach by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want a big house? Do you want a Lamborghini? Do you want a Ferrari? That could be your goal. Your, whatever. But your purpose, you can reach your purpose outside of yourself. A group of you can reach your purpose. You can reach your purpose outside of your lifespan. So I would ask that of you. Are you driven by goals or are you driven by purpose?
I'm driven by purpose.
Okay.
I'm definitely driven by purpose. And I would say that I have a couple, how do you say purposes or purposei? I have a couple of different
Purpose.
Almost shortstop purpose.
number one is to be all that God has created me to be. I want
Yeah.
to say, well done.
Yeah.
In more ways than one in my life. I really want to hear that I did not bury my talents, but I multiplied them and I made a difference with them.
Good.
That's number one. Number two is I want that all that my parents sacrificed, that it's not in vain. You know, my mother is not here to see it. My father is here to enjoy some of it, but really so that, you know, these people that came from humble beginnings,
Right,
beyond humble beginnings, that their progeny have done everything that they dreamed of, that they couldn't have even dreamed of, that we reach that. And I think, and the third purpose I would say is for me to have the satisfaction in knowing that I have done my best.
Good. Awesome.
If someone would ask you how you move forward and what you're doing, what would you give them for advice?
To move forward, stay curious. Stay curious. Reach out and make friends with people that are doing what you're doing. And you know, I was told this years ago when I was in New York City working at Time Warner. This woman said to me, you know, if you have somebody you admire, send them an email, call them up. You never know. And let me tell you, there are so many times that I was landed right in front of people because I did that. Because a lot of people take that initiative.
Right.
So I would say,
true.
Social media is huge. You can follow anybody, but take that personal time to reach out to somebody and let them know, look, you're somebody that I admire. Can I have 5 to 10 minutes of your time? You know, look to those people and try to develop some type of relationship with them. Stay curious.
Sure.
There's so much information out there. You know, expand your constantly, just challenge yourself to learn a new something every week or every month or something like that. As a 50-year-old woman, I look back now and I realize that I was worried about the wrong thing. I was focused on the wrong thing. And I got to New York City and I had my master's degree. And in my mind, the master's degree was it. It wasn't ambition. It wasn't motivation. It was all you had to have was your master's degree.
Right.
And I was in New York City and all these people had hustle. And I hadn't developed my hustle. I just had book sense. I didn't have that hustle in me.
Right.
And so what I think I would tell my younger self is that you're only as good as your hustle, irrespective of the education you may have.
Yeah.
You can't rest on that. You got to be able to get in there and get dirty. If you're not able to get in there and get dirty and work hard and prove that you deserve the opportunity, you're going to be spinning your wheels for a long time.
Yeah.
So that's definitely what I would tell my 21-year-old self is hustle.
That's good. That's good. If anybody could have seen or could ever see how Kenan and I have to set up for these shows, we both have that hustle muscle. How do I look? You look good. Okay, plug this in. I can't hear anything. Well, try this again. It does, you know, you have to figure it out. You have to stay hungry. You have to have the desire to not know so that you can get where you want to be, you know? There are times when I'm in a room.
It's important. I think it's really important because I think sometimes when you feel like you know everything, you're not willing to challenge yourself to that next level. And I think, you know, I'm going to be a sister or friend for a minute and say that Alvin has actually been one of that things for me too, Cynthia. He's really helped me to get to that next level and to kind of stay there. And when I'm kind of feeling like I can't do it, he's just like, we're going to get through it. We're going to do it. And he has all of those quotes. I think all of the quotes you guys have in your family, I've heard them.
Yeah. You know, it's recognizing, it goes back to my mother saying, you got to be your own best friend, that there's nobody there to rescue you.
Yeah.
You've got to figure it out. And she planted that in me, but I didn't get it until about 10 years ago. You know, there's nobody, I remember Alvin used to say, you know, he had this, something about he loves sports cars, and he had this fantasy that somebody was going to walk up to him one day and be like, here's a sports car. And then as he got older, he was like, nobody's going to do that. If I want a sports car, I've got to figure it out. And there is, you know, there is that dream that somebody's going to see me and say, you
deserve it.
You get a car, and you get
a
car.
Yeah,
and
doesn't
the sooner
happen.
you realize that and you get your hustle on, the sooner you will actually get what you want.
Absolutely.
Well,
And
Cynthia, I've enjoyed. I'm sorry, I was just gonna say that I've enjoyed you so much, and I really appreciate you guys. I wanted to say I appreciate the Chia family because you guys have produced wonderful things, and you guys are going to continue to inspire, continue to make people want to retire. And I really appreciate your time. I really appreciate Alvin and you guys sharing your stories as a family and as individuals. And I want you to stop saying you're a late bloomer, because I think you're exactly where God wanted you to be when you were supposed to be there.
I am. I agree with you on that. I agree with you on that.
Yeah. Well, thank you once again, and have another great day. And thank you for the time.
Thank you.
See you next time on Making It.